So it has been a little while since I actually did do a track guide on Wreckfest, so what I decided to do was this track, the Boulder Bank Short. This one, well basically I did a lot of grinding on it today. I think I played on this track alone for about 6 hours, and the best I managed to get was a third place with a 57.5 or 2. There are definitely some places where I think I'm definitely losing time. However, I can say that I can fairly consistently get into the 57 lap times. A lot of the time I'll be able to get in the sub 58s without too much of a hassle, so that is what I'm going to focus on today. The thing about Boulder Bank is, this is a very hard track. It's actually quite deceivingly tricky, even though it's got, well, what I'd say 7 concernable corners to come up to deal with. What the main challenge is, you're having to deal with that whilst there are bumps and crests that you have to deal with at the same time. Not only that, you're then having to deal with braking zones whilst in the air. So you're then having to alter your braking zone to compensate for that. And you know what? I actually really like the challenge. I think it is a brilliant track. One of the fastest ones in Wreckfest as well. One of the longer ones as well. It's not the longest. Motor City is faster and a longer track than, well, obviously Rally Trophy, but this was one of the longest tracks from, well, vanilla Wreckfest, shall we say. So let's kick things off with turn 1, this nice simple long left-hander hairpin that you're tackling at sort of about 50 plus miles an hour. So you've got a very distinct braking zone. It's between that white barrier where the pits would sort of end and that little sort of flag thing. Normally I would actually brake and use the handbrake at that sort of flag, but if I do mess the braking zone up a little bit, then obviously I'll go a little bit later, and if you're in an A-class car, you go a little bit further. Now, the main other challenge is, after the hairpin, you've got just a little straight of nothing much, but then this is where the true challenge starts to come in. You've got a little bit of a bigger crest, and then this small bump actually throws you off a lot more than you'd expect if you do not get a good position. Where I try and aim for is actually sort of in the middle to the right of that section, because you are tackling this corner here, this very, very fast right-hander corner. This is the fastest corner on the circuit. You're tackling this at about 120 miles an hour, getting really close to the marshal post there, and obviously avoiding the tyres. So that is my recommendation there. The other huge challenge is this section here. You've got a big jump heading up towards a very tight right-hander hairpin going back onto tarmac, and you are, like I say, you're approaching this at over about 120 miles an hour, and the braking zone, if you do not slow down, you're going straight into that outside wall. You have to brake before the jump. About 108 miles an hour is the best you can go for. I tend to use that sort of tree with the rock as a reference of when I handbrake as well, but it's not perfect. I sort of recommend, again, sort of going towards the middle and the right to land, because if you go over to the left, you've got this little ditch here where the banking and the track is, and it can throw you offline if you sort of hang on out to the left. Speaking of this green banking, if you mess up the right-hander, this is actually a very, very useful bit of track to actually save yourself from having a very bad right-hander. You can see in this example here. So I'm about 120 miles an hour, really close to the marshal post. I get a huge two-wheel moment, so I just use the banking, slam on the brakes. I'm doing about 110 there, to be honest, because it sort of puts you at a different angle to the jump. So it is actually very, very useful to use. So yeah, absolutely do that. And then this corner here, the right-hander that I'm going to show on the flyby in just a minute, this is also a very, very tricky corner, because you have to be on the tarmac, because as you can see where it sort of ends the little dirt section there, if you're trying to get into that right-hander, you're going to spin out. And it is a very, very long sweeping entrance, and then it cuts short, and you've got to be very careful, because if you attack too much speed into it, you are going to go very, very wide, and you're going to crash into that tree that I'm going to come up to here, and you can't go around it because there are hidden rocks behind a bush. So you have to go to the right of that tree. So it is a very challenging corner. What I use is that lamppost that I'm showing there, that second lamppost just before that right-hander. That is where I do majority of my braking and the handbrake at the same time. Now, I have tried with multiple lines. I haven't found one that works perfectly for me, but sort of with this, I sort of hang a little bit middle, but a little bit towards the left of the tarmac to get myself lined up properly, because you want to approach that corner at about 70 miles an hour all the way throughout. So it's a very challenging corner, but you got a banking where the tree is that you're able to sweep past it. Then once you go down here, you go down the straight, and then you've got this bump here that you're approaching at over 120, so you've got slam on the brakes, and then you've got this very quick left-hander into a much sharper left-hander. Now the trick with this really is you want to tackle it with, well, sometimes you tackle it in two parts, other times you tackle it in one part. So what I tend to do is you definitely want to slide, always slide in Wreckfest. And then you want to use that banking as well to then help your car get round the final corner, aiming for that little bit of bush there. However, if you attack it too far, then of course there's a little hidden rock there that will cause big problems. But you are approaching that corner at an insane speed. I'm just going to show my best lap again. Yeah, it's not an easy corner in the slightest with this little two-part left-hander. It is very, very challenging, this truck. It will take a lot of practice. Obviously, my best lap was with the Super Venom. However, I have used other cars like the Eagle R and the Rocket RX and the Razor, and I also have managed to get into the sub 58 with those cars as well. So, you know, it's a very demanding track, but a very rewarding track at the same time. It does just take it is very challenging, very, very challenging. Not because there's a lot of gimmicks you have to deal with, like track extending and corner cutting. It is just a very technical, demanding track that it just requires a lot of good road placement. And yeah, as you can see here, I sort of do it in one fell swoop, but using the banking to help get the car round the final corner. You want to stay above 70 miles an hour, or else you're going to be too slow. However, that's going to be it for me. Do hope that you found this helpful. If you have any other tips, or you think that I've tackled the corner completely wrong, then, you know, please do let me know in the comments below. But I do hope you found this helpful. If you want to suggest a track you want me to take a look at, the comments is the place to do it. Or you can join my Discord, there'll be a link in the description. However, that's it from me. Take care, and ciao for now.